What up? Thank you very much for returning. If you are a subscriber, what it is, you rock. If you are new to my channel, welcome. I am all about anything from speculating on comics to just about lowbrow, cool indie buys. So I dig the big two. I mainly started reading comics in the 80s, returned from like 2000, 2005. That's the new Marvel era that brought me back. And then I returned like 2016 up until just recently. I've gotten pretty much this 8.5 by 11 piece of paper I filled out in 2016. I'm like, if I'm going to return to the hobby, there's a bunch of runs I wanted to complete. Kind of like a bucket list type stuff. And there's like 4 items left on it and I'm good. Those 4 items are like doubles anyway. So that's just getting greedy. Yesterday, I showed 3 separate hauls. This is the second one, and this will be the final one, the third one. So yesterday I did one, and today I'm going to do this one. Yeah, what it is, what is up? Thanks a lot for coming along with me for this comic book collecting ride. So yeah, I mean, a lot of the stuff that you'll hear me say too is like iconic, classic, like long-term value, staying power. Yeah, things that are in that vein. Even if it's something niche, it can have like an iconic staying power type look to it, so that no matter what writer or artist it is, it might have a staying power, or just that one look from an artist might be the only reason for that staying power. It's just depends on how we all take to it, or what my take is versus yours, right? So Whisper. All right, so I just looked through both of these, and I gotta say the interior is not as cool as the covers, really. So we got Whisper issues 10 and issues 11. December 1987, February 1988, every other month. So yeah, we got 37 issues total. Steve Grant wrote all 37 issues, but just like these Norm Breyfogle covers, he did the art, the cover and interiors for issues 3 through 11. And I went through these just trying to get something exciting, and that's pretty cool. But I like this comic book. I love finding this randomly in the dollar bin because it also depicted combat, and I guess it's just hit or miss sometimes, right? These are just some reader copies that I got for fun. Totally reminded me of Blaze, Modesty Blaze, written by Peter O'Donnell and illustrated by Jim Holdaway. That's just a comic book about a female spy. Very witty, clever, super smart, resourceful. Just knows all these different types of martial arts. So that was initially comic book strips, but there's a magazine that collects them. Modesty Blaze, B-L-A-I-S-E. If you're into that, check that out. But I guess this is kind of anticlimactic, but it's just a random dollar bin find. So trying to find some combat depicted in comics, which with Whisper can be hit or miss, I suppose. Documentary. I do like to speculate on comics. Like I was saying, like talking about how comic books, you can find them for $1, and then they go up to $5. And then once they go up to like $8, definitely they break that $10 mark for something that typically you would see for $1. You got to start looking at something online. What's the hype? What's the longevity for that hype? Once again, is something iconic? Is something, does it have some type of staying power with its niche? Does it build upon like how Superman built upon icons from eons ago? Same thing with Batman. So what's the foundation for this type of intellectual property, this symbol, right? So for me, things like documentaries, depicting history, educational material, I really find that to be just unique and also very like limited type of niche. Like, you know, it's fun to speculate one day how there could be, instead of like saying bookstores or comic book stores, it would just say sequential. And then that would be divided up into history, humor, biographies, you know, fiction, nonfiction, so forth. Copyright 1979. I believe that is Larry Gonick, the writer and illustrator of these cartoon histories of the universe. And I usually find these pretty beat up, slightly yellowing, but valuable information nonetheless. You know, that's, what is it, Eric Shanauer. I'm always pointing that out. Like, if it's not necessarily a documentary like this, then, you know, historical fiction, attention to detail, like, you know, the settings, clothing, and so forth. Eric Shanauer's Age of Bronze is so fucking dope. All right, so we got lots of informative paneling going on. Awesome. Okay, so very intriguing. Got myself a couple issues. Issues 3 and 4, Cartoon History of the Universe, 1979, by Larry Gonick. And that is Ripoff Press out of San Francisco is the publisher. But don't you know? Looks like we're upside down. Let's get that camera turned right side up, shall we? All right, so now we got the camera turned right side up. Moving right along. Issues 3 and 4, Cartoon History of the Universe, 1979, from Larry Gonick. Surf Crazed Comics. Third video now where I've got a comic book about surfing. The last one, and I think either the one before that or the one before that, there's another comic book, an indie comic about surfing. Surf Crazed Comic. Soul to the Bowl. Premiere issue. Here we got Slick, Side Quest, question marks for our featured characters. I think this is Roy Gonzalez doing this cover. Copyright 1991. So Israel Paskowitz, if I understand correctly, his first story is written by Salvador Daniel Paskowitz, the first 14 pages. But then there's like these other pages. Roy Gonzalez, he's got a story. Somebody surfs with Elvis inside here. Let's find out in a minute. 1991. More Paskowitz. Salvador Daniel Paskowitz. That's what I have for the first 14-page story. Pretty fucking awesome. Wow, that's pretty fucking cool. Surf Craze t-shirts. Jim Phillips. Well, leave me. Whoa. Aloha hell. I was going to say, leave me a comment below if I'm showing too much interior content, making the videos too slow, but damn, if I was worrying about that, I wouldn't have just encountered that deal. Okay, so here's the Roy Gonzalez story, King and I, Elvis Presley surf story. And I think this is Cliff Galbraith. Yeah, Slick the Cat. It's by Cliff Galbraith. Some amazing stuff here. Wow, really. Yeah, they jacked me on the price there, though, didn't they? $10. Ouch. So yeah, I mean, I like to speculate on prices, like I was saying. Like when you pointing out when something goes from $1 to $5 to $8, $12, so forth. Kind of finding those trends for something that might end up in a top 10 list, for fun or not. Just getting it before it gets big. Why? I'm not really into flipping. I'm not like, hey, I got this book for $5. It's 6 months later, it's $15. Look, I flipped it. I did that when I first came into the hobby again. This third time in 2016 for a couple of years. Actually, I did do that. But my resale lately has just been like long term. Like, that's why I'm picky about the condition, and I just don't want to have to worry about having to resell something. And if it's like a newsstand, that's great, but if it's got a bunch of spine ticks, rarely will you see, even if I have something that's a newsstand with spine ticks. I know I made some comments in my last video about like, hey, it just depends, for me, because I'm just thinking, things contract, they expand. I don't want to be caught in some type of contracted situation where people's wallets are not interested in my comics, or they are, but it's just more of a limited contracted market. And if I don't have much of a playing field, then people get picky. And if you have something that's in nice condition, it's a newsstand, 1982, you got 80% newsstand. 1986, 50% newsstand. 1990, 15% newsstand. Okay, 1995, 10% newsstand, right? So this right here, this is from 1993, Mark Texera cover, April 1993 cover date. Yeah, stories by Howard Mackey, Chris Cooper, Dan Chichester does the Night Stalker's story, and Len Wein writes the Mobius story. So Joe Quesada, I think it would be cool to note, does the artwork in here, the 9-page Darkholders story that's written by Chris Cooper, FYI. But it's just hard to find newsstand and really nice condition, so helps with the resale. So it's one of the things that I go off about. It doesn't mean that you have to worry about that shit, or you assume that I keep track of you having newsstands or not, or the value of your channel compared to mine. No, I like people that have different styles, and you really don't need to point out how I might conflict with your collecting habits. I'm not here to judge or like infringe on your rep. I'm just here to provide different points of view, and I love keeping track of people with different points of view. Like, just check out my playlists. I think you can dig it. The Crow Pestilence, just some random back history finds, great condition. These you can find fairly common, actually. My speculation is that I assume that the trailer would have dropped by now, since, what was it? They were finished filming last year in Europe, I guess, in Prague and Munich. And then the new Crow movie, they managed to have it out. I think that, when that trailer drops, what's the staying power? It depends on how good this movie is. If this movie's good, given the Crow doesn't center on just Eric Draven and all of these Crow stories. So you got a franchise on your hand here that's already set up to have different types of protagonists. It represents this spirit that uses humans as avatars. There's a concept right there, borrowing perhaps from like Indian myths that need humans as avatars. So it can perhaps expand or be relatable to different types of demographics. Who knows? Just kind of going off for fun. Crow Pestilence, issue number 1 and issue number 5 are actually from 2014. Street Fighter, Fight Club, The Crow Eraser. The Crow Eraser. So my resell thinking is more along the lines of condition, collectability, which for me is like, you know, there's a lot of stuff out there with the Crow, but I'll stick with something iconic. I'll stick with something that's James O'Barr. That's an artist that I focus on. But if I had to choose between something that James O'Barr does, I would have to figure out, okay, what's more iconic? What is something that I think, you know, if he's got an image of something that's the Crow versus something obscure that other people don't know, or if it's got the Crow in the image with Razor, then I look at that long-term wise as, you know, the Crow's got staying power. If it was another cover that didn't have the Crow in it, but it was by James O'Barr and I had to choose between the two, I would go with this one. You get my drift? You see what I'm saying? For my strategy, it's like low on space, low on money, get picky, not just about how iconic something is, the staying power, how representative it is of a certain genre, how well of a representation it is, what is that representation based on, what type of mythos, brand identities, and so forth. But just what's the quality of the artwork that's trying to relay that message, and so on, right? You know what I'm saying. You know what I mean. But that helps the resale value. It helps how neutral is that message too. Like how long lasting is it? What's the long shot value? What's the long-term value of it being received in the future? Which doesn't necessarily have to be entirely understood, because there can be certain mentalities that we have today that people just will look at as ridiculous later. That's a novelty. That too is a collectability. The Crow Razor, this ran for 4 issues, and I just wanted to get the first 3 covers because they're by James O'Barr. He didn't do the interiors. 1998 is issue number 1, and issue 3, I know, is July 1998. So Death Rattle actually came out before those in 1996. And here we have issue 4, because if I can't afford the first 3, why not get a first printing of issue number 4? Right? Of course. Look at that. Let's check out the condition of this in a second. Beautiful caliber comic. Pleasure. Death Rattle. So what is Death Rattle, right? So is there like a James O'Barr story? Is there a Crow story in here? Is there a couple panels? Like, what are you missing? Some illustrations. That's what you're missing. So let's take a look at them. 25, 24, 23, and 22, I believe. Yeah. 20 and 21. Okay. Ephemeral Terror. The Crow Lost Pages, James O'Barr. This is issue 3 of Death Rattle, 1996. James O'Barr cover. Yeah, 1996. skip ahead a few pages here. Oh no. Tragedy. So yeah, you have the Tundra Press that came out in 1992, and that was 3 issues. So that reprinted issues 1 and 2 of this 4-issue limited series from Caliber. The first 2 issues were in issue 1 of that Tundra reprint from Tundra Press, that new publisher, Tundra. And then issues 2 of The Crow by Tundra is issues 3 and 4. And then the 3rd issue from Tundra is the 5th issue. That's the 5th issue, 1992. FYI for any of y'all keeping score. And just last year, right? It's West to Sundown. I got that for just $10 online. But it was like $4 shipping. I don't know, these days, $4, you consider that a deal? Like, I did. West to Sundown, #1, the Obar cover. This is the 1 per store variant. That's why I got it. This takes place in middle of 19th century. And this woman, she's like this vampire. She is trying to go back to the Southwest to her homeland to rejuvenate herself. Don't know the details beyond that. If anybody has any feedback on West to Sundown, let me know. This one, just want to go really quick. First time X-Men and the Avengers meet up. Just a nice copy because it's not easy to find out in the wild, these milestone edition. People say reprints are worthless. I still argue for reprints. That's why I say like my channel is kind of like the magazine anthology that I've always wanted, like that mixture of new comics, mainly old though. Old reprints, old interviews, relevant information that is being overlooked by just current fads and hypes, which is fun to follow. We all got our pop culture preferences, but for me, this is like Marvel milestone editions. For a lot of these issues, it's like the first time that they've been reprinted. So, and it came out, 1992, so that's the anniversary from all of their first appearances. So it's pretty cool. This material here, like I said, it's a little bit different paper stock. It's got that metallic gloss to it. So it's the type of thing that you don't want to mess with, but you just want to show off. And this is one of the lesser popular reprints, but it's the X-Men issue #9, written by Stan Lee, art by Jack Kirby. And it's the first meetup of the Avengers and X-Men. So fun there. And just so you have an idea, if you're listening, this is the type of shit that I'm interested in. I like the nostalgia of the newsprint pages. That would be great if reprints started having newsprint. I don't see why not, considering, once again, I always say Disney's like the richest global conglomerate on the planet, right? It's one of them. So, no excuses. Melting Pot, Simon Beasley cover. Can you dig it? Fuck yeah! Woo! Eastman, Kevin Eastman co-wrote this with Simon Talbot. I think a lot of it is just like Eastman giving the plot, Kevin Eastman doing the layouts, Simon Talbot finishing the script, Simon Beasley finishing off the layouts. So, correct me if I'm wrong. I think this was, 4 issues. Book 1 through 4. The BIS. July 1995. Woo! Hell yeah. See, I checked out because all that spec bubble hype. And I started college pretty much in 1990. So I was just shifting gears in general. It's all good. But I missed out. This was stuff I was looking for in like 1987. Anyway, check this out. Nice condition. You know, it's kind of, I get so picky because of space and everything. Like when I saw these color breaking creases here and then the slight roll, I was going to be like, nah, I'll throw this back in. Right? I mean, that must be crazy. So, lovely. Lovely. Yeah, Simon Beasley. Fucking dope. Yeah, you're welcome. So this is a Kitchen Sink Press publication. Kitchen Sink Press actually, after The Crow, by the way, started off with Caliber, then I went to Tundra, and then the first collection of all the issues into like a trade paperback and hardcover, that's your Kitchen Sink Press. So there's your three publishers, main publishers involved with The Crow. Look at that Simon Beasley goodness right there. You know, there's a comic book that involves like these lizard people from Shaky Kane recently. That's out. Was it The Man from Maybe? I went over the first two issues of that and I just wasn't into it. But these lizard dudes, you know, as trivial of a story as, you know, the war, essentially, right? Fighting, adventure. Just the depiction of it, y'all. Woo-wee. Hell yeah. The depiction, my conviction. All right. This is my channel. When a 1969 Camaro, hand painted by Simon Beasley. Thank you for watching. That's right. Bam. Rock and Roll Biography Comics Ga+e, Volume 1, Issue 15, October 2019. This is Acme Inc. It's the publisher. $3.50 price tag. It's pretty sick, isn't it? Let's take a momentary look. So this guy, Lou Longo, passed away. 1968 to 2019. So he's the artist on this because I was looking through this. That's why I bought this. I didn't pay attention to the details later until I got this. But I'm like, where the hell is this guy? This comic's new. I should be seeing this guy all over the place. He passed away. Rest in peace, Lou Longo. This book is dedicated to Lou. Skip ahead a little bit. Wow. Wow. Fuck yeah. In Memoriam. Lou Longo. Story written by Michael Aushanka. In Espanol. From Mexico. Do not speak. I had a year of Spanish, my freshman year in high school. Almost failed it. And then the remaining 3 years, I got all A's in German. Go figure. The Ultimates. Dos. This was originally from February 2007. Mark Millar, the writer. Brian Hitch doing the artwork, modernizing the Avengers.
library, sir. You take videos of comics you want to read at home.
Oh,
you on your way in the door.
It's been bought. I bought it. That's it. I bought it. Yeah, I did. Yeah, I did. I bought it. That's right. After I fix this glare.
My head's in my ass, don't you, sir?
After I fix this glare, I will.
As soon as you figure out how to fold it again. I was almost done editing.
Washington, D.C., man. The ultimate.
Shop for any records today?
Which records?
You shop for any records today?
Yes.
And then this, guys, one of my favorite modern covers. One of my favorite Alex Maleev covers. It's pretty fucking cool. New Avengers. Now it's saying issue 19 right there. Los Nuevos Vengadores. Alex Maleev cover. Does the cover and the interiors. And the story itself, it's like a one-shot story where Hawkeye's looking for the Wanda. And he's in Latveria, but it's more of just sort of like when you travel, or I don't know if you've ever just encounter somebody, just ships passing in the night. More than just a hookup, but it's just a momentary romantic love for the night. It's just this hookup that he has that's just very short and sweet. And this is the story, this Gustav Klimt-esque type cover. It's fucking dope. Just thought this was really cool. So the original issue was January 2007. The series started by Brian Michael Bendis in 2005, and here he is still writing it. A couple years later, started off all right. It was a little bit too much of a bait and switch for me. I don't think that Wolverine and Spider-Man should be joining the Avengers. It's neither here nor there at this point, but it's another cool cover. And when I saw this in Spanish, I just thought, like, it's just awesome, man. Like, just the idea of having this in Spanish, I just think is really cool. Also, you know, like Captain America, you know, I mean, most people totally overlook how this massive population, Latinas and Latinos, that I'm just surprised that there isn't more attention to that type of market, to that type of just peoples in comics. I'm not talking about representation, just they're part of North America, a very large part. So having a foreign comic in general, I think is cool. You'll see me with stuff from Europe. I think I got one item from Japan, but Ultimates 2, New Avengers, a couple of these just really cool covers, Venomized, Wolverine, or like in the process thereof. This one is by Lionel Francis Yu, still Brian Michael Bendis writing. But like I was saying, you know, Mexico, America, right? It's like Captain Mexico. Can you imagine a Captain Mexico? Why not Captain America? If anything, if you want to have somebody represent, kind of interesting, in my opinion, if he was from Mexico. No doubt. And have it obviously be written organically and not forced. So maybe have it like, you know, you introduce the character and then it might take a year and a half till that character actually is even mentioned to be considered in that role, type of thing. In my opinion, I think that's a little bit more legitimate way of introducing somebody, especially if they're going to be taking over a mantle as Iron Man, Thor, Captain America. So showed off a 9.8 of the English version of this, issue 26 in the Newsstand 9.8. So just collecting it. I'm sure if I see another version in another language in this cover, I'll probably pick it up. Gustav Klimt's one of my favorite European artists. So yeah, man, cool find. Same thing with my semi-venomized Wolverine. Wrapping it up, X-Men Messiah Complex en Espanol, Mexico. Capítulo 1. So it's by Ed Brubaker, Mark Silvestri doing the art, but the cover, I believe, is David Finch. So Messiah Complex, I think the first issue came out in October 2007, was the first issue. This is the reprint right here. And let's take a look at it. I know that this cover right here is for the first appearance of Hope. X-Men 205 from January 2008. That is from the X-Men Messiah Complex storyline and is the first appearance of Hope Summers, which I know this is the cover for. Mark Silvestri, Historia Dibujos. Nice. Awesome. En Espanol. Esos son todos los mutantes que cerebro alcanza a localizar unos cientos. Yeah. Right, so this movie came out, I think it was 2008. Los Hombres, X-Men, Messiahs Complex. Capítulo 5, David Finch cover. 41. Another free comic. Batman, Gotham War, alright. Anything else on the back of these? Alright. Gato Azul. Mike Carey, Chris Bacalo for the interiors. Chris Bacalo is kicking ass. I remember when he did the Ultimate War limited series. It wasn't the best story, but the art was fucking amazing. And that is it. And that is all she wrote. Esto es el fin. Thank you very much for watching Comic Book Haul 69, part 42. Thank you for visiting Comic Book Haul 69, part 42. And why did I get these? Because these Finch covers are just eye-grabbing. They pop out. Just some cool, eye-catching artwork. Another artist that was wasted on the Ultimate line. As a matter of fact, just around this same time, you have Finch his talent being wasted on that Ultimatum limited series. So glad to get these X-Men Messiah Complex. A little bit something different than that Ultimatum line that he was doing. Looks like it's got a little bit more of an impact. But a lot of these X-Men stories, when things were getting a little bit too overboard with Civil War and then Secret War, at that point they were just doing like there's a little more enclosed X-Men events, but it just got to be way too excessive with all these mini events. So I didn't have any interest in their Messiah Complex. I think if you wanted to introduce Hope, then they should have just done it through a regular storyline. Once again, something organically that doesn't really have some type of hype around it with Hope, new character Hope, X-Men, Messiah Complex. It was one of those things where you were told you needed it. You didn't feel like it really meant anything. You didn't feel like you needed it. So a lot of that going on, as we all know. Past 10, 15 years, comics have been fucking weird. So it is the 19th of December. Here's to a rockin' 2024. Here's to the end of 2023. Happy New Year's. One more haul to go. Peace.